Repair of a larger Enbridge pipeline in Romeoville, Illinois, discovered last Thursday, and that came after an even bigger spill in Michigan. Those two leaks have idled about 930,000 barrels a day of the Calgary company's capacity, and that's roughly half the volume of Canadian oil shipped every day to the United States. Well, it looks like Ontario's energy conservation incentives aren't good enough, and it now appears the Premier may push for some rate cuts. Maria Hayes has been following that story for us today. She joins us now from our newsroom with the latest. Hey, Maria.
Nick, Dalton McGuinty admitted today even he has heard the complaints. Hydro customers who hold off until late at night to do laundry or set their dishwashers for 2 in the morning, all in the hope of saving some money on their electric bill. But in reality, smart meter consumers are seeing increases instead of savings. The Liberals spent $1.5 billion on the conservation program. The opposition calls it a waste.
We did tell them from the start that this program was not going to provide the benefits that they claimed, and it was going to be much more costly than they have claimed. They'll have to, they're the government, they're going to have to come up with some kind of solution.
We would have rather seen $1.5 billion invested in things like the retrofitting of homes and buildings. That would have created jobs, and it would have actually met some conservation goals. We think that peak saver programs are a good way to go. We think that energy-saving appliances are a good way to go to help people proactively conserve energy. There's a lot of places that $1.5 billion could have been invested.
The Premier has no plans to scrap the program, but says the government has to make sure the appropriate incentives are in place. Nick?
All right, we'll see where that one goes. Thanks a lot, Maria. Meanwhile, the Premier says Ontario will reap the benefits if BC kills the harmonized sales tax. The Premier is watching developments in BC, where Premier Gordon Campbell has promised to scrap the HST if a majority of people vote to repeal it in a referendum next September. McGuinty says if BC drops the tax, it will give Ontario a competitive advantage. Federal NDP leader Jack Layton says his party now has enough votes to potentially save the gun registry. A bill to kill the long gun registry passed second reading by a vote of 164 to 137, thanks to the support of 12 NDP members and 8 Liberal MPs. But 4 of the 12 New Democrats have since said they've changed their minds. Layton didn't say which of his party's remaining holdouts have now indicated they'll vote against the bill. Liberal leader Michael Ignatieff has told all of his MPs to support the gun registry. Well, first they came up with a vending machine for prescription drugs. Now an Oakville company has teamed up with 2 other companies to create a virtual emergency department. Our Lisa Hefner was at the launch of what the entrepreneurs hope is the future of healthcare delivery, self-serve.
3 machines. That's all you need to take the stress off emergency rooms and reduce wait times, according to the businesses behind the technology.
Migraines, strep throat, sore tummy, prescription renewal. Those are things that are routine but do clog up our emergency departments.
In fact, Don Waugh says those low-risk ER visits make up 48% of people in the waiting rooms. His pharma trust made the drug dispenser now being tested at Sunnybrook Hospital, and he connected with the other companies to complete the virtual ER. First, the patient swipes her health card in the triage machine and answers questions about symptoms. This machine comes from NTR, which has pioneered all sorts of self-serve technology from the supermarket to the bank, and thinks people are ready for the same at the hospital.
More and more familiar with technology, more and more comfortable with actually self-service being more service. In today's world, you're usually doing it on paper, and then a staff member is transposing what you have on paper back into a computer. Much more room for error.
Next, the info travels to a machine that measures vitals like blood pressure, pulse, and temperature. It comes from a California company that sells the machines to workplaces and college campuses. Lastly, the information goes to the dispenser.
About once or twice a month.
The patient video conferences with a remotely connected physician who can send a prescription. The machine would next link with a remote pharmacist who then dispenses the drugs. The whole process can be done in half an hour.
Last December, the laws changed in Ontario to make it legal to dispense medication without a pharmacist having to be physically present. This week, the College of Pharmacists designed a list of regulations to govern the machine, and that list is now on the way to the province for approval.
The Deputy Minister of Health, when he saw this machine for the first time, he goes, okay, this changes everything, and within 6 months he had organized the changes.
The idea is not only to take pressure off actual ERs, but to provide virtual ERs to isolated communities. Lisa Hefner, CHCH News, Mississauga.
All right, time for checking the forecast right now, and Matt Hayes is outside. Matt, we don't have any weather machines where we can sort of punch in the numbers. You've got to use those computers and figure it all out yourself, right?
Oh, thank goodness I know how to use computers, Nick.
Oh, yeah, you're an expert, all right.
Yes, I am. Well, you know what? My computers are all coming up positive for tomorrow. Now, by the time we hit Thursday, a little bit of turbulence, a little bit of rain coming our way, and probably our coolest readings of the week. But that's okay, because we're going to get it out of the way, get back on track, and have a gorgeous weekend. Lots of good details ahead. I'll share them with you later in the show. Right now, Nick, back to you.
Thanks, Matt. Paris's Eiffel Tower and its immediate surroundings have been evacuated amid French news reports of a bomb scare. Witnesses say several busloads of police officers have been deployed to the famous tower. However, tourists are still on the nearby sidewalks and road traffic continues to circulate. The National Parole Board has ruled a member of the so-called Toronto 18 terror cell must stay behind bars for the remainder of his sentence, which ends next October. Ali Deary argued he's changed his ways, but the board says he shows a persistent pattern of violent behavior. Deary was among 18 people arrested in 2006 for plotting to cause bloodshed and panic in Canada by bombing several targets in Ontario and attacking Parliament. A Hamilton man has been arrested after allegedly trying to lure a child online. Police say a 14-year-old girl was contacted online and offered a large amount of money to perform sexual acts. 29-year-old Majinder Brar is now facing several charges. Well, the new Niagara Police Detachment in Grimsby was officially dedicated this afternoon with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Niagara's Police Chief Wendy Southall and other high-ranking officers were on hand for the dedication. Detachment Commander Staff Sergeant Randy Bleach unveiled a plaque and then led visitors on a tour. The public are welcome to tour the building, which is on the South Service Road between 4 and 8 p.m. The last new police detachment built in Niagara was in Welland in 1994. Well, the Roman Catholic Diocese in St. Catharines has a new bishop. Bishop Gerard Paul Burgee was appointed this morning by Pope Benedict. Burgee is replacing former Bishop James Wingle, who left unexpectedly and without an explanation in April. Burgee is from Hamilton and has held several positions within the diocese there, including Chancellor. And the Niagara Wine Festival begins this weekend, and a new Grape King has been named, but this year's Grape King is a queen. Debbie Inglis, the grape grower from Virgil, has been given the honor this morning. She's also the director of Brock University's Cool Climate Oenology and Viticulture Institute. Inglis will be crowned tomorrow in her vineyard, and CHCH students will be there all day with more on this year's festival. Well, a new tech lab has been unveiled at a Stony Creek High School. Future Shop picked up the tab for the upgrade at Salt Fleet District High School. The tech lab will provide students with the chance to prepare themselves for future jobs in technical-related fields. The grant is part of Future Shop's 10-year commitment to support education. And Bell has launched its internet-based television services in parts of Toronto and Montreal. It will be competitively priced against rival cable TV providers, including Rogers in Ontario and Quebecor's Videotron in Quebec. Bell's all-digital IPTV service, delivered over fiber optic lines, will be available to 5 million homes by the end of 2015. Bell says its acquisition of the rest of CTV that it didn't already own fits perfectly now with its plan to grow its video entertainment business. Canada's largest business lobby group wants Ottawa to hold off on raising employment insurance premiums. The Canadian Chamber of Commerce says it's a job-killing tax. President Perrin Beatty has sent a strongly worded letter to Finance Minister Jim Flaherty saying the government needs to hold off on raising taxes if the economic recovery is to take hold. The government is expected to raise EI premiums by the maximum amount when a 2-year freeze ends in January. Well, here are the figures now at the close today, and in trading, the TSX was up 43 points, the Dow down 18, the Nasdaq up 4. Our buck was up all day to close down 4 basis points at 97.30 cents U.S. The price of gold hitting a new record high, up 24.60 an ounce. The price of crude dropping almost 40 cents, ending at 76.80 U.S. a barrel. Still to come tonight, our Kate Carnegie brings us the highlights from Nicole Kidman's new flick at the Toronto International Film Festival. And if your allergies have been acting up more than usual this season, you're not alone. We'll tell you more and why after the break.
This program is brought to you in part by the Criminal Law Group at Ross & McBride. Lawyers in your corner.
New this fall, television's most compelling true crime series comes to CHCH.
This murderer is still out there.
Why did he have to kill them? He just wanted to get away with perfect crime.
48 Hours Mystery, Saturday at 10.